I want to welcome everybody to Crashing Game Night. My name is Matt Duro, your host. As always, tonight, now that we are past the season finale of season 1 of XMen 97, the esteemed writers Eric and Julia Lewald are crashing Game Night again.
Yes. Finally.
I know.
We've been waiting for this day for so long.
You shared with us when we talked to you before, and my God, it's been a while. It's been just enough time.
A couple of years, man.
That,
October 2nd of 2022, to be exact.
That's crazy.
Yeah. Little's happened since then.
A little happened.
A little happened. I mean, these young people, it took 3 years to make this silly show when we had about 7 or 8 months to do it. So, we'll be the crotchety, the old man and woman on the porch. If they had to do it the speed we did, So
back in my day.
Yeah.
Yep. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is the babyface one, Theo Walski.
What's up, everybody? I can't wait to be talking about X-Men.
We actually got him to watch it.
I will admit that I did not watch each one as it aired each week, but I binged it last Saturday.
Wow.
And I'm amazed.
Good binge.
The whole
It wasn't a long
97?
binge, but it was a very simple binge because I just couldn't stop.
Well,
Yep.
boy, hope you have
And
some tissues and a stiff drink nearby. So, okay, sorry.
well, and lastly, our Marvel hating maitre d' services, the man with the couch, the lion's mane chasing.
Wow. Why you gotta throw it out like
Throw
that?
him under the bus.
How's
Like,
it
dang.
going, guys? Just like, look at that. My goodness. Just throw it in my
are we actually including 97 into the
No,
MCU?
you can't.
No.
Okay. So I mean, like, he's MCU hating, not Marvel hating.
Yeah.
Okay,
exactly.
distinction.
Important distinction.
Yeah, because I mean, like, I'm not a fan of the live actions that are tying in with all the movies, all the shows. But X-Men 97, it's like, it's near and dear to the heart. It's X-Men 95, continuation X-Men 97, and that long period where, you go from a kid to an adult. Oh my goodness.
Before we dive into X-Men, I do have to pass along a hello from someone from your past, specifically from RoboCop. David Sobolov. I was going to try and have him come on and surprise you guys tonight. But he is up in the backwoods of Canada enjoying some time off. So he wanted me to send you guys his love.
Oh, well, thank
you
you.
So much for that. He's been on fire lately.
Yes, he has.
Yeah.
The man goes to cons, and there must be 20 toys based on his characters for him to sign.
But we had him on it's about 2 months ago. We talked about
Was
RoboCop.
It only 2 months? I feel like it's
something
been a
like
while.
that.
Yeah.
2-3 months maybe. But we talked about RoboCop, and of course, with him doing Transformers and being the only one from the original Beast Wars to even be part of Rise of the Beasts and whatnot. But yeah, he wanted me to send his love to you guys.
Yes, thank you.
And
he is
sorry that he couldn't
guy.
make it. Yes,
He's the greatest guy. We wrote 40 RoboCops for him, and we never met him during production. That's the kind of the standard, the way out here. Everybody's writing as fast as they can and handing the scripts off, and somebody in the next building is recording it.
I think he was recording in Canada.
Yeah, I think he was recording in Canada at the time. So yeah, it was great to meet him at a con and say, "Oh my God, that was your voice. Oh, those were your words. Okay, cool." So and now we hang out.
Yeah, that's
awesome.
True. Yeah, that we never got a chance to meet until we started going to cons.
7 years ago.
Yeah, about 7 years ago. So we've only
which you guys have been busy going to cons lately too, because I've been watching your Twitter feed and posting all the videos. And I want to ask you guys, now that with the cons you guys have been going to lately, how does it feel now that everything's kind of out and X-Men 97 is out in the wild versus and getting their responses now?
Yeah, I mean, we don't have, for a couple of years there, it was, what can you tell us about 97? And we could say, nothing, or we'll get shot. So that has been let go. So now we can talk about our show and how wonderful it was. And then we can talk about all the cool stuff in the new show and what's the same and what's different and what's updated and meeting, the new cast and all this. It's like tripled the amount of stuff we can talk to X-Men fans about.
Oh, I know. Well, I mean, even when you guys were back on in 2022, we couldn't talk about it. It was just
No.
like teased and shown and whatnot, and that was it. And it honestly, as
Yeah, because they
much
got
as
first teased at San Diego Comic-Con, and we
Right.
had
Yep.
and that's where we handed the card, but we got to see the photos of
Yeah.
or pictures of
Mhm.
Cyclops and Storm and everybody.
Mhm.
Right.
Oh, so amazing.
I'd like to point out too that people lost their minds at the concept that Storm might have a mohawk. And
I
now
loved
that
it.
the full 10 episodes have played, I have not heard people losing their minds about that moment. So it's
Yeah.
like, hey,
The
look,
mohawk was amazing.
Yeah.
I agree. I
Yeah,
agree.
yeah,
And
we had done it once, you know, for for
One
one man's worth.
a two-parter.
Yeah,
Yep.
two-parter
Mhm.
and fourth season, and evidently they thought, oh, this is a cool way to go with her to differentiate it. So yeah, there it was.
I think the nods to both the original that were in this, plus the nods to the comic books and how many different storylines they pulled out of comics for this season was amazing. And to for me though, I was truly like that kid again, you know. And I posted this on Twitter for you guys. It's like I felt like every week, it's like I'm back there on Saturday morning with my cereal watching, you know, Fox Kids and watching the latest,
Yeah,
you
yeah.
know, X-Men,
yeah.
and I need more.
Well,
I'm gonna act like it was only a feeling. I just picture you like waking up the kids and telling them like, let's go downstairs and watch this with cereal. Like,
I wish.
well, and Jason, you made a point earlier that I think is so important and means so much now, is that for those of us who worked on it, for those of us who watched the original show,
Mhm.
you know, okay, you watched the show, you enjoyed it, you liked it, a little bit of it maybe stuck in your mind, stuck in your heart, and you go on and you grow, you know, you live your life.
Mhm.
And
For decades.
Well, thanks.
Literally.
Yeah, but 25
Yep.
years have passed since the end of that. And then to come back and to have the team on X-Men 97, the kind of fidelity
Mhm.
and affection and love and awareness that they bring to it, you had a great line about you raise a family and you have your kids and hopefully they go out in the world.
Mhm.
And now it's like,
And now we're playing with our grandchildren. You know, it's weird.
Yes.
You know, we're playing the same games that we did 30 years ago with our kids, and now they have kids, and
someday, but I mean,
and it all feels like the same family.
yes, the familiarity, the embrace of it,
Mhm.
the feeling that this is what I loved and it's back and I can feel all those feelings again.
Yeah.
It feels like we never left.
Yeah. Oh God. Yeah.
Yeah.
And listen, when they reached out to us and when they explained that they were not interested in doing a reboot, they were not interested in doing a reimagination or a reinvention, they wanted it to feel like, as you said, the next season of the original
Mhm.
X-Men series. It's like,
Mhm.
well, good
Oh,
luck.
great. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
And yeah, good
Yep.
good luck. I mean, with all the technological changes and the cultural changes.
And the 60 years worth of books now.
Yeah,
We had
on all
30,
the
Yes.
books,
60.
and they made it
Yep.
feel like you could watch the last season of our show and then turn on to their show, and it feels like you're watching the same show. I mean,
Yep.
Oh, yeah.
how do you do that? I mean, they've got 10 times the budget, so it looks more beautiful.
Oh, it
But
Yeah.
how? I mean, not that we're better, but how just the depth.
I mean,
I mean,
to that point, though,
I feel like with the art, like they did such a great job with giving the same feel. So, like
Yeah.
you're saying, is with the technological advances, it gave the same feel. It was just clearer, wasn't it? What is it as foggy as in back in the 90s?
and that was my thing is when I first watched the first episode, I mean, I loved it, but I was like, man, it just feels too clean compared
Right.
to what it was, you know, because we got computer animation versus, you know, hand drawn and all of that.
Yeah.
And
Like, where's the pixel
Uh-huh.
fuzziness when you like are really close to the TV and just blur it?
And credit the reason that I think the reason they accomplished this, credit the guy, credit Bo
Yep.
DeMeo. He said he laid down the law and said everybody that works on this show, artists, writers, staff, has to be a crazed fan of the original show. So when we were brought on, which was months late after they got started, when we were brought on, there was this you know, 100 square Zoom call with all these people that were just we're just like, oh,
Yep.
we
Freaking
love the
out, I
show, man.
bet.
We can't wait to knock it up a notch. And that was a brilliant decision. And you don't have to do that when you do 8 out of 10 reboots and stuff just kind of misses. It just doesn't quite feel right. It's nostalgic, but the tone's wrong, and I got it.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Oh my God. Every episode, like we would always just watch and we're like, oh, you caught up, and we just talk about it.
We've been talking about it every week on the podcast.
And only just because, like you said, like it's so, like for those who haven't watched it, please watch it. Oh my goodness. Like,
yes.
Oh yeah.
even if you just watch X-Men 97, it gives you a reason to go back to 95. Like, it's just that much more powerful. And I know a lot of us have those, like, on the corner skip credits or skip intro.
Skip it.
Never,
Do not.
never,
No.
never
once hit it.
Never hit it. For those
Had to hear
just
that
out
intro
there,
music every time.
never hit it.
That
Only
intro
reason-
music hits every time my phone rings right now.
It's not even
Oh.
that. It's just like, I
That's
mean,
my
just-
tone for Eric when he calls. Yeah.
it's just like the whole season that when you guys put in a new pretty much intro every episode, like
Mhm.
That was brilliant.
That was
oh
Mhm.
oh
We didn't have the
Chef's
time and money
kiss
to
on
do
that.
that, but what an idea with a new person saying previously on X-Men.
Oh, can we
Each
Norm,
time
I'm sorry.
we
But
missed
Norm Spencer,
Spencer did the original.
the voice of our Cyclops, passed a few
Yes.
years ago before this
Yes.
whole thing
Mhm.
happened.
Yeah.
And it's like, what are they going to do?
And we wondered who's going to say it, and they came with this brilliant idea. Whose ever episode it is, we'll let him or her
you.
Mhm.
do it.
And then the changes, the little
Yeah.
bitty changes,
Yeah.
not little bitty, but the changes within the opening intro. Oh my God. To me,
Yep.
that was magical. Talk about Easter eggs. Golly.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
until
Right
until
there.
you guys ripped our hearts out and took Gambit from us.
Oh. Oh.
So has everybody watched all 10 episodes? Has everyone
Yes.
watched?
Yes.
Not,
Yes.
okay, no,
Absolutely.
I'm telling you, I'm just telling everybody
Yeah.
watching.
Yeah.
Oh,
Oh,
yeah.
so for all of you that haven't
no.
watched it,
Yeah, sorry, gang.
Take
It's
a
been long
pause.
enough. I mean,
It's
it's been
been long
weeks.
long enough.
It's long enough.
But that,
We've
you
had
know,
a month.
that one
Spoilers are
thing
fine.
That-
to mention here and now that for those of us, Theo doesn't count right now because he binged.
Ouch.
But for the rest of us who watched it as it came out or watched like 2 episodes
was-
at a time, that feeling of having a week's worth of what did they just do? Oh my
Oh
God, how are they going
God.
to do? What are they going to
How
do?
are they going to
next?
take
I-
care of this?
Talking with friends. I mean, that was
I-
playground conversation back when they were kids. People
Yeah.
were kids, and now it's like coffee conversation.
I was in mourning a little bit because Gambit is
Oh.
my favorite X-Men. Like,
cool.
and I loved him in the original and
Yeah.
everything. And the way like he went out, like the way they did it though was so respectful of his character though, that he
Mhm.
was always going to basically, go, remember me, right? And do what he needed to do.
Yeah.
Especially like, look at
And how he did it for love too.
Yeah.
He did it
Oh,
for
yeah.
his love for Rogue.
That last
Even though she broke his heart.
that
still.
last line.
She didn't get a chance to share with him that she
Yep,
would.
yep.
Yeah. Oh my God.
Oh,
Yeah.
that
And-
last line of that episode.
Oh.
Oh my God, me and my wife are just bawling. We needed like a whole bunch of eye bleach. We
Yep.
need to watch like a
And
good shit, like
it
a
was
happy show because we're just like, oh, like we have 1 week to just sit on this and we're just like, oh, we can't do this. Like, oh.
And it was impressive though with the way Bo set up season 1 is that the themes that we had back in the original animated show talking about the social dynamics that were going on in the world were still there.
Oh,
Like,
Yeah.
and it felt like 97 back what was going on in 97 and stuff. And I loved how they grew Magneto to where he kind of was like, hey, you guys go protect the Morlocks. Let's get everybody out of here.
oh,
Like, and then to turn around and have Rogue go off the deep end
Mhm.
with and seeing the stages of grief. That was like amazing to see that because I've gone through it myself. And I will say this, having Rogue just drop him off the side of a building and Wolverine go, well, we were all thinking it, it was amazing. But when you see how they did that, how did it feel though when essentially Gambit is one of your children, so how did it feel for
Mhm.
you guys to see kind of the way Gambit went out, but just the fact that we did lose Gambit.
Yeah, well, it was incredibly satisfying because one of our first big arguments, struggles when we were setting up our show was we talked to the network saying, I know you don't let lead characters get killed in kids shows, but we have to. The most important thing about X-Men is heroic sacrifice, and that there are consequences to being an X-Men. So we have to kill Morph. We're introducing Morph. We're introducing this character and make everybody love him as much as we can in like 30 minutes, and then we're going to have him sacrifice himself for the team and die. And they said that was just for Mark Edens and me, as we're laying out my head writer, laying out the first 13. That was like our number one request. And it took about 3 weeks, 2-3 weeks of talking with the network, because obviously they're not comfortable with that to start. Gradually, Saturday morning kids show, gradually we established a trust with them over the seasons, where they'd let us do stuff like that, or like have a show about faith, which normally they just would say blanket no. But so the fact that we understood how important that was to their world when they did it with Gambit, we just were, it was incredibly satisfying. I mean, it was heartbreaking.
Oh my God.
Because they did it so nicely, but we just thought, good on them for taking this all the way like they had to.
And going back to XMen The Animated Series, the fact that, and I forget if we got to share with you the previous time we all talked, but that the character of Morph was, honest to goodness, supposed to stay dead. But when you got the call to come back for season 2, because we were only given 13 episode orders at a time, and we were all been released after we finished our job on the first season.
Yeah, we're starting to work on season 2, and we had a call from the network saying, guys, we had a room full of 9-year-olds. We had a focus group. And you're not going to want to hear this, but we asked them who their favorite character was, and Morph won by a landslide. You made him too lovable. And so can you please find a way? He died off screen. Can you find a way that he's not dead at, a year later? Please, can you find? And so, we were hitting the wall and upset, and oh God, this was such a big deal to us. But then we thought, well, suck it up. We're professional writers. We'll figure out something to do with it. And
that's definitely got to be hard, because I mean, they're basically
Matt,
saying like, please undo what you just did.
Can't.
Oh, it can't?
Break something up here? Okay.
I don't know.
I can hear you.
Having trouble with Theo. Can you hear me? I'm going to keep talking here.
Yeah,
we can hear you. Go ahead.
Okay,
You're
can't
fine.
hear Matt.
You can't hear us?
Oh, you good?
Yeah.
We can hear you guys. Yeah.
There, okay. Theo, you just dropped out on us. Okay.
There we go. It's all right.
Okay.
No, that's all good.
So,
It happens.
hey, we can hope that in 25 years, maybe when they do X-Men, whatever the next iteration will be,
X-Men
maybe they can bring
2000.
Gambit back, like they brought Morph back for this one. So.
Well, I mean, I know you guys can't speak on this, but
we can't. Whatever you're about to ask, we can't.
Well, we know Matt would want Gambit back at the very least.
I'm just saying there's theories already running rampant as far as what the end credits mean and whatnot.
Yeah.
I'm personally hoping for that to happen, but we can't talk about anything happening with season 2.
No.
But yeah, I will say this though. I think I loved Morph even more with 97, because we got to see Morph be Morph and just go off. And just with every iteration, I think my favorite though was when he turned into the Incredible Hulk and just went Morph smash and just, it was classic Morph, and seeing all the different X-Men that we aren't, didn't get to see, with turning Colossus and Quicksilver and all those different ones. It was such an ode to them. And then seeing the evolution of Nightcrawler, like we actually get to see him be the man of faith that he always has been, that you guys touched on, and seeing him be it more. Like they pulled out no stops with 97, and I love it.
Yeah.
And to see his relationship with Rogue, the sibling relationship between the two of them. Oh my God. And all credit to the fact that so many of the voice talent were able to return. So Adrian Huff, the voice of Nightcrawler, Lenore Zan, one and only Rogue. It's just, and yet the new voices who've been brought in, again, Ray Chase somehow does the most amazing Cyclops Scott Summers. I don't,
because he said he's not mimicking the original voice, but he's got the spirit of it.
Yeah.
It's his own voice,
Incredible.
but he's got the cadence and he's got the spirit, and so you can set a kid down and watch, let's again, one of our episodes and one of their episodes,
Incredible.
and the kid's not going to say, "Oh, that's somebody different."
Yeah.
Or if they do, it's not going to pull them out of it. It's not gonna
I
pull them
didn't
out.
really notice a difference.
Yeah,
I didn't notice difference.
You know?
I thought it was great how, like, even in the first episode, how you immediately could hear the annoyance between him and Logan. It's just like, oh my God, that's so on point.
Yeah.
Like, how did they do this?
Yeah.
Oh, and there is a sweet moment I think it's one for number 1 and number 2, where Val Cooper is talking to Cyclops, and it says to him, Professor X would be proud of what you've done. And the voice of Val Cooper is our Catherine Disher. She was the original Jean Grey.
Yep.
And now it's like Jean is saying to him, Professor would be proud of what you've done, and to the new person taking over the role of Scott Summers.
Yep.
It was like a passing of
Oh,
a
wow.
As if it's worse.
Yeah.
And you know, all these 30-something creatives that grew up on the show were very aware of that. We've got Gene's
Yep.
voice saying this line,
Mhm.
which
Too
is
Scott,
so
too-
cool.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. Those kind
And
of
I
moments.
will say this, AJ did an amazing job with Gambit.
yeah,
No.
he did.
Yes.
And
Yes.
just it was hard at first knowing that he'd been replaced, like he was replacing the original, but then hearing the story of why it was taking place and the reverence they wanted to give to the original actor and have him be Cable was
Isn't that
amazing.
fantastic?
It was
Yeah.
like, so
And it becomes this life thing. We were at the last con, AJ was talking about this. He took French in high school because he wanted to be Gambit.
It's just
And
That's
his
awesome.
French name he wrote down for the class was Remy.
Yeah.
So
Mhm.
there's that kind of
That's dedication right there.
There's
Yeah.
that kind of a lifelong excitement going into his performance.
yeah.
So when you guys are going, how's the reaction though for you guys? Like from the fans that grew up on animated series, now seeing you guys at these cons and talking about 97 now that it's out, how's it feel for you guys?
Oh,
It's a giant wave of love.
Mhm.
yeah,
No,
it's a
really.
double one because we used to get a wave of love and then this kind of frown and look. If you're going to be involved in a new show, they're not going to ruin it, are they? They're not
I
going to.
mean,
You're going to protect for us, aren't you?
Yeah, we'll be the human shield,
this
right?
anxious moment of suspicion, like it's not going to be right.
It can't be. It won't be.
And now that it's right, it's just a double wave of love.
Yeah.
We love the old one, we love the new one. Thank you, thank you.
Yeah.
and that's to the point, like we kind of briefly talked about, is that it did have, going into this, we didn't know, was it going to kind of go the way of some of the MCU stuff where it's kind of come out and fallen on its face and not been, the source material and respectful of that and everything. But this has come out and been, now you look at the internet and Twitter and everything else, is that this is the standard. You guys went out and set the bar and everybody's like, this is what Marvel needs to be doing. And now there's people talking about, let's bring back Spider-Man, the animated Spider-Man and all of that. If only we had, they still had that same reverence. It's like, X-Men, I think was still the bar, between X-Men animated series and, Batman animated series with Kevin Conroy. Though you guys were the standards. And still are the standards to me, because I can go back and watch both those shows and I'm still a kid again.
No, Executive Sydney Iwander, again, if we said this before, you can stop us.
Whoever saw both shows,
At
every,
Fox.
every word of every minute of every one of those shows went through Sydney.
Yeah.
He was our immediate boss, our micromanager.
But Batman at Warner Brothers did have a significantly bigger budget, and they had like nearly an extra year's lead time versus X-Men the Animated Series. And you said, going back and looking, Batman is just beautiful. It's gorgeous to look at.
Yes.
Sydney had a line though.
Yeah,
he shared with you.
he said that Batman is slow jazz and X-Men is a garage band.
It's like,
And
that's
okay.
You know
that's
what?
cool.
That's what it
Okay,
is.
okay.
That's what
I
it
like
is.
that.
And we said, yeah, did not. Yeah, absolutely. That's what we each were handed,
Yeah.
and we each ran with it. And the shows have very different feels to each other,
Mhm.
but they both were special.
They were. And
Yeah.
when we look at though X-Men 97, I will say this, guys, this is the first time we've gotten really Jason to watch a Marvel show week after week.
From
Okay.
start to finish, week after week, like, and it's not because I'm that much of a Marvel hating person. I'm not, I grew up on it
You're
and
an
stuff.
MCU hater.
I am an MCU hater. I am not. I'm
Yeah.
not down with Phase 15, Phase 11.
How about Phase 97?
Yeah, but I am.
There
I
you
am
go.
down with that right now, and it again, it's the
Yeah.
childhood part where you guys were perfect in just bridging that like nothing happened, like you said earlier. And one of the things that just instantly caught on was, yeah, like I wish like I want to get your take on how you guys felt when you guys heard so many of the original voice actors coming back, because I feel like for them it's just, again, it's like this
Mhm.
this decade long, multiple decade long journey
Oh.
that everyone's like, oh, we're coming back to this. Oh, this is what I remember it was like. This was like back in the day. This was fun to do. And my question from you guys is just like, how did it feel to have those guys come back and just be like, oh my god, we're doing this again? Like,
And
that's
almost in the
awesome.
entirety
Yeah.
of the cast.
Again, there's been just enough lead time, and by that I mean it's been what, 2.5, 3 years since the first whispers
Mhm.
that this was going to happen, and the first time when people behind the scenes started moving all the pieces to get everything lined up, and we were all under such strict NDAs that we were not communicating with each
Yep.
other.
Oh,
Yeah,
Wow.
wow,
Okay.
that's very strict.
it
Okay.
was. It wasn't
Oh,
until
yeah.
maybe a year and a half ago, which sounds like a long time, but in this particular situation,
Mhm.
then getting to hear their voices. And again, the old cast, original cast, is up in Canada
Still up in Canada.
and still up in
Okay.
Canada.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So it's, oh my God, that was magic. And it continues to be magic.
Yeah,
And
and we've gotten to know those folks at cons over the last 5 or 6 years,
Yeah.
where it's so odd to think about it. We never met any of them during production
Not at
back
all.
in the 90s.
Yeah.
In the 90s, we were
Oh,
writing
wow.
like maniacs out here in LA,
And they were,
and they were up in Toronto,
Mhm.
and we would get an audio cassette snail mailed to us because there's no internet to listen to see how the performance was and give notes.
Mhm.
That would go back and they'd incorporate them, and so the only way we'd gotten to know most of the cast was when I did that original
this audio,
previously on X-Men.
this
Yeah,
oral history book about the making of the
yeah.
show.
Yeah.
But that was the reason you
Oh,
reached-
feel free to
Yeah.
self-promote your books.
Yeah.
Yeah, there you go.
Yes, please.
Yeah. So this was even, like pre-Zoom. That
Oh,
was like
yeah.
2015 when I started calling them up there. And so it was just on the phone, and getting, we both said it was so odd because I'd listened to their voices for 4.5 years, and I'd never met
Mhm.
them. And they'd been reading my words for 4.5 years. They never met me. And so that made for very fun phone calls when I was interviewing them. Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
And the
Yep.
cover art by our head designer, Will Mineo.
Mineo, producer,
Yep.
head producer, director.
For those
writer
watching
guy.
the stream right now, we have it up on Theo's little.
Yes.
It's on Amazon. I mean,
Available
where
on
Can you get it
can't
from
you find
Amazon?
anything
Amazon,
on
or
Amazon?
if you contact us, we'd be happy to get you a signed copy for like $5 more.
Oh, there you go.
But, yeah, we can make.
Yeah,
We're trying to figure
very,
that
very
out.
close to the same price as Amazon.
Yeah.
Yeah, but with our signatures sent to
Exactly.
you. Yeah, yeah. So that
And,
gave us a chance to reach out and get to know them better.
Yeah.
Get to know them.
Yeah.
And then since then, we've been able to sort of meet with each other and be at cons together, cons and fests, and at XMen 97 events.
And
that's
just
been
share all the
just
fan love. I
wonderful.
mean, you're there for a 3-day con with somebody,
Mhm.
you go out to eat with them, and you go on panels with them,
Yeah.
and so you just get to. We've gotten to know them over the last 5 years,
Yep.
which is really
That's
special.
awesome.
Which, while we're giving you like free advertising, so everybody, if you go to crashinggamenight.com, contributors and guests, on Eric and Julia's profile page, we actually have their website already up, so you can go there, click on contact us, and
Yeah.
Get in contact with them.
Boom.
That should send you to our email page,
Yeah.
not email,
Yep.
our Gmail page, which, yeah, good Lord.
Yeah.
It's just, we don't have a web shop yet. We haven't figured
No.
out.
Yeah, where you
put
can
that
do it all
plugin in.
automatically. But
Yeah.
you can contact us and order
Yep.
stuff. So,
Venmo, PayPal.
Yep, absolutely.
Oh.
But anyway, so I have to ask, did you guys have a favorite moment in 97 as you
Oh.
guys were watching it as fans, not as
Oh,
the
yeah.
writers, but
Not
as
as the
watching it
writers.
as just your fans and watching your kids kind of like you
Yeah,
talked about
yeah,
your
yeah,
kids
yeah.
growing up and becoming the
Yes.
grandkids and
The crazy thing also, and just looking back on this process, you and I we were each, again, under strict NDAs. We each
Mhm.
got to read all the scripts. We each got to see the amazing animatics,
Yeah,
which
the
is a
rough-
generational.
the rough sketches with the voices and some rough sound on it, which we didn't have time or money to do.
No, we just had storyboards.
We
that
just,
flipped
here's a
through.
script, here's a
Mhm.
storyboard, here's the voice recording. Like 4 months later, we see the finished product come back
Yeah.
from overseas. So
And so we'd read everything, we'd seen everything, we'd heard the voices,
but
Mhm.
it's not real till it's all
Mm-mm.
together.
yep.
and then
Right.
Yeah.
and seeing it, and it might. What I think what got me the most was actually the first trailer that they'd released, Disney, for XMen 97. That great setup with the TV with the tape on top of the VHS
Yep.
on the bottom, and it starts and it plays, and a few moments from graduation day, the last episode of the
Mhm.
original XMen series starts
Yeah.
to play, and then they roll it into.
Yep.
Yeah.
Oh my God, that stuck in my. It stays in my heart. That was just
Yeah.
insane.
Yeah, and you can imagine the amount of emotion that went into that last big scene where Xavier saying goodbye to everybody, his death
Mhm.
scene before
Yep.
he
Yeah.
leaves, and so all the residual of that. But you gotta admit that I hate to be predictable, but the Gambit's big moment and the reaction, because one of our favorite things in doing the original was when Morph was killed, and suddenly these empaths are I don't sense him anymore.
Mhm.
Mhm.
And so, same kind of thing, only like larger, more operatic. And
Yeah.
stuff we couldn't do, stuff we couldn't show,
Oh, yeah.
screams we couldn't build because we're doing a kids show.
Yeah.
And the fact that they took it all the way with Gambit, that was just beautiful.
And
more-
Rogue taking off her glove and going, I can't feel him.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Like,
Oh my
that
God.
hit
in that
hard.
in the black screen,
How
hearing
it cut
that
to
line.
black. There you
Cut
go.
to black,
It
yeah.
cuts to black.
Oh
and
my God.
let me put it out there for whoever's got a voting opportunity, please, and I hope they all submitted. Voice cast Emmys. Come on,
Oh.
people.
Yeah.
Come
Oh,
on.
yeah.
Come on. Because I'll be slightly bitter. Good old X-Men never got nominated back in the day. The
Yeah,
original
it
series.
wasn't,
No.
it wasn't the
Yeah.
kind of thing that in the 90s, the not, that we worked on Winnie the Pooh, which we loved, which got a couple of,
Which got-
which have got a couple
Yeah.
of Emmys, not when,
Not that we got
not
Emmys,
that
but-
when we were working. But so that was more the kind of show that they'd award for a
Which is
daytime kids Emmy.
Mhm.
Now this is a
a
adult
streaming
animation, it's
prime
streaming,
time.
so it's just
Yep.
competing against any other sophisticated animation, and supposedly it's the front runner to grab an
And-
Emmy.
Fingers crossed.
Wow.
And it's nominated at the Gotham Awards, which is a new
Yes.
show that's coming out or
And
that's
I
starting
think-
up there.
I think the awards are in 2 weeks or something.
Yeah, soon in
which is-
June.
Yeah, come on. Oh, one more moment
Um,
that just
m-
killed me. in the
November
series.
27th.
Oh, I thought it was in June. Okay, November 27th. All right. Well, that's delightful then. A moment when, after the tragedy in episode 5, episode 6, Beast and others of the team go to Genosha, and as they're coming out of the jet, Beast quotes Mr. Rogers, always look for the helpers, and it's like he's quoting Mr. Rogers. It's going to choke me up
Mhm.
right now too, but that was one of the most beautiful uses of that kind of callback ever, to have Beast quote Mr. Rogers.
So I'm going to correct myself. So Julie, you are right. So there was a correction on an article. So it is June 4th for the award show
Oh, cool.
Yay!
Soon,
for the
soon.
Gotham TV Awards. So
Like 2
I
weeks.
think, yeah, I think that all the nominations are well worth it to that show. And I think they need more. It's just, there's so much we could talk about and fill, just with every episode. And I also love for me, one of the biggest things of the show too is the respect they gave to the Cable storyline from the
Oh my God.
comics.
which
And it was like,
which is not an easy thing to portray.
no,
Mutant, clone mother, time travel.
Yep.
I'm big, but I'm your little kid.
And what's even better is they're doing the whole darn thing because it's one of those things that at the end of the last episode of the season,
Yep.
the one when they go to the future, that's Rachel Summers. That's their daughter.
Yeah.
And they're doing it where what it was in the comics where she rips them in the future to help Cable. And it's just like all the history from the comics and the show, Bo set up so well. And
Yeah.
I know nobody knows the full story. We're not going to get into it.
Nope.
Whoever knows about it, we're not going to get into it. It's just, it is sad that things had to part the way they did right before the debut. Bo has been nothing but supportive though on social media of everybody's work and promoting it, even promoting back to the original animated series. He's been like, hey, if you go back and watch this episode, you'll see it.
His homework for the episodes that were coming up, saying, "I suggest you watch."
Yeah.
That was hilarious. I love that. That was beautiful.
I was loving watching every week on Twitter with how he was promoting it, and it was still kind of sad that it was like, to me, I was like, whatever it was, Disney, Marvel, make up with the guy.
It's a shame, but that, I mean, Hollywood can be a tough place.
Yes,
but everybody knows who did the great work on this.
Oh yeah,
so
absolutely.
So that's not going away, even if he's not there for the next season.
And maybe we'll find out another, when the next season comes out, if you guys are involved as consulting producers on season 2. We won't say anything because
we are. So
hey,
and we're just
the one thing we can talk about.
Yeah, and they have greenlit 3, and we're signing up for that too.
Wow, nice.
Okay,
congratulations,
Eric. I was trying to skate around NDA, so we didn't really. If you guys were under
that was
NDA,
announced.
That's
cool.
public. That's public.
Okay.
All right,
we
hey,
say that.
That's how we skate. We nudge you just a little bit, and then as soon as we
say,
get
hey,
some
we're not
pullback,
talking.
we're
not talking about it. But no, that's awesome because I think having you guys involved, even on the consulting production standpoint, ensures the heart is still there. Like you guys are very much the heart and the nervous system of X-Men Animated. Like, and we wouldn't have, honestly, I think we wouldn't have X-Men 97 without you guys giving us animated back in the 90s, right?
Yeah.
I'll say X-Men The Animated Series was the bridge, was the gateway, was whatever it was to introduce a large population pool to a thing they didn't know existed. Because X-Men books were the most popular.
But that was this many people.
Small portion of the pop culture back then, and there was no Twitter, there was no Google, there was no 24 hours anything. So the introducing of the concept of mutants and X-Men and who these players are and what's going on in this world fell to the animated series.
Yeah,
and the audience that found it grew and kept growing.
Yeah, and again, always more credit to our colleague Larry Houston, who knew the books backwards and forward, who lived and breathed the books at a time when we were learning them quickly. We were novices when we started the show, and Larry and Will Mineo were the wise
couldn't tell
statesmen of X-Men, saying, this is an X-Men story, this isn't, and this is why. And hearing that from them and running with it, they were really inspirational to us. Those two artists.
And I will say this: Night of the Sentinel is still one of my favorite episodes. Like that 2-parter, and that's the kickoff, right?
Yeah.
And to see that they paid homage, and that was one of the things when the second they put that
in the
did the whole mall scene, I was like, Night of the Sentinels, that's what it is, and whatnot. So it's no amount of thanks could be given to you guys for what you've given us, and like it's funny is like I saw a lot of TikToks that were these millennials, the Gen Alphas that were, these 20 something year olds are like, we didn't ask for this. Why are you guys doing this? And so much of my generation, Gen X, and part of Theo's, everybody's come to the defense and going, we've been asking for this for 25 years.
Yeah.
It's our time. But that just goes to show you just how much staying power X-Men had. And like even the shows that you guys were involved with, right? And how much staying power, because like I was talking to a friend of mine and he wanted to ask, hey, are you guys going to bring back gargoyles? Now that X-Men is, brought back in this way, it's like, can we bring back gargoyles now? Because
I bet they are, and the guy whose baby gargoyles was, Greg Weisman, will be there in front. I'm ready. I'll do it. Here I'm here.
Set us up.
That is one of the great,
it's
crown jewels.
he lived and breathed that. The first 65 episodes were all him.
Yeah.
So they'll bring it back. I bet.
We can hope with X-Men 97 being received the way it's been received, given the dedication and devotion that's gone into it. Hopefully, if folks look at properties and go, well, maybe we'll look at that one to reconsider. Hopefully, they'll do it with the same care and consideration. We can hope, because I didn't think 97 was going to happen ever. And then it happened, and then it became, and now it is. And it's like, this is crazy. This is just crazy in a good way.
Yeah, definitely. It was for sure the way that you guys approached it, very like cautiously, very with the 95 thoughts, because like we've said a few times on the podcast, myself mostly, a lot of remakes, a lot of remasters, a lot of people will start to like, oh, it's supposed to be like this, and then you switch it in and they're like, wait a second, no, like, why did you change it up all of a sudden? Like, what's going on? It's different, and we don't like it. It's not following what it was before, and it's every episode I felt like was just, I couldn't stop watching because it was just done like another Saturday morning, like another day, like Matt said, me and my wife would just get cereal on our pajamas, like watch it as soon as we both get home, because we got home late on Wednesday and we're like just in pajamas getting ready for bed, like, you ready to watch X-Men?
Yep.
I had
well, because I mean, at the same time, like X-Men, original X-Men the animated series, like I'm sure these guys would agree, was pretty much perfect. So I mean, you don't fix what ain't broke. So
you don't.
That's why you gotta continue doing what you do.
Now the thing that you and I will sometimes, and with Larry, kind of not laugh about, but go, my gosh, take for example episode 5, and not even get to what happens at the end there. But it opens at the school, and some heavy conversations are happening among them in their civilian clothes, with reporters and what have you. Logan and Jean are out by a pond, bucolic, and she's having a moment. And golly, spoiler alert, but she leans over and she kisses him. And it's like, dear God, that would have been a 2-parter back
right?
Animated. That one scene was
building up to that
episodes getting to that moment. And that was just in the first like 3 minutes. And they're off to the races with more. I mean, good night. The amount of story they
that would have been one of those things, them standing on the dock and it's like, to be continued.
Right. Just like half an inch from each other's face.
Yep.
I will say I think the season ripped our hearts out, like both in a bad way, but in a good way too. Like, but man, they did Wolverine dirty too at the end.
Oh yeah.
But just to see that actually, like what we've seen in the comics growing up, and knowing that Magneto had that power to do that, and them just to say, you know what, boom, we're just going to do it. And I think that's the benefit that Bo and company had by doing it on Disney Plus. They could do it as more of an M-rated, an adult more show versus what you guys had on a Saturday morning cartoon for kids.
Yes.
Because there's no way Fox at that time would have okayed you guys ripping the adamantium right out of Wolverine.
No way.
Nope.
Yeah,
Nope.
yeah, and if you notice in
But-
76 episodes, Wolverine could never stabbed anybody that you could see. He ripped
Yep.
apart a bunch of robots,
Mhm.
but no
Yep.
human being ever got impaled in 76 because it just was against the law. I mean, there was just there were limits to what we could do,
Yeah.
and that was one of them.
Couldn't lose
How
that
did-
G rating.
Right.
Wow.
And the one thing I gotta ask you guys, because with the parallels you guys have, for social, for the social commentary and stuff like that, though, what did you guys think when you finally saw the attack on Genosha and pretty much it was basically like the Holocaust all over again?
Yeah,
That was an interesting point. I remember when you were in crafting
Yep.
the X-Men books for the animated series. This was 92 was when that was happening, but the books had, and it was like the 80s when Magneto, that whole.
well,
kind of-
no, in 1963, when
Yep.
when Jack and Stan started the
Mhm.
books, you meet Magneto and Xavier, and they've both been through the Second World War,
That's
and
true.
Magneto is
Yep.
a Holocaust survivor,
Mhm.
Mhm.
and we couldn't quite. I mean, that would have made them too old.
And we
we-
couldn't use that.
we didn't really play it. I know they did it in the movie, but we just thought, does that make Magneto 80? You know,
We had
Mhm.
cheated some.
yeah, we had
but-
cheated those, but so
Yeah.
we have some flashbacks when they're younger,
Uh-huh.
but just that kind of depth is again something we could talk about in a Saturday morning cartoon to inform the depth of Magneto's feelings, but to show this oasis of mutants and this haven for them just ripped to shreds by just and in real time, it's
Yep.
okay, the stakes are this high. And obviously the spectacle was wonderful. It wasn't gratuitous. It wasn't,
No.
it wasn't a slasher movie or something,
Mhm.
but it was important to show,
Yes.
okay, this is how ruthless the feelings are against these people,
Mhm.
and the people have to deal with it. It's real, and yeah, it was very affecting.
And who would have thought that Dear Little Leech would have had one of the lines that
Ugh.
just
Yep.
rips your heart out? And then Magneto,
Yep.
don't be afraid.
Yep. That line just hit home. It was like, dude, Magneto, like, this is where you see him be like, everybody knows he cared about mutant kind, right? Just
Yeah.
from the original show. And, he was fighting a different battle, but this was just showing his pure heart, just like,
Yes.
guys, I can't fight this. I mean, at the time we thought he had died and perished, but it was like at this point, he's like, I can't fight this anymore. This is just, don't be afraid. We'll be okay type of a thing. To hear that come out of Magneto was powerful beyond measure. And then even then, like later on when he's captured and they talk about the numbers on his wrist, and he's like, I've already had that. And it's like, I don't think kids like this generation, right? The younger generations really understand what power that actually was really talking about. And that goes
Yeah.
back to, the internment camps. I don't see how you guys, I mean, I know you guys can't, because it's already been talked about. Season 2's already been kind of laid out by, Bo had a vision, and Disney's already come out and said they're going to honor that vision for season 2. But how do you, I don't see how you top this. Like, I mean, this season 1 was like, Theo talked about the original animated series was pure perfection. Season 1 was perfection.
Yeah.
Thank you and good night. Okay.
And we're done. No.
We're done.
And we're done.
And
Yeah.
scene.
Yeah,
Yep.
so yeah, interestingly, in season 1 for us, the first 13, we were all let go as soon as we were done with our work, and we
Yeah.
thought, well, the hints were, or the lack of belief in
Mhm.
Hollywood that this would be successful made us, especially Larry and the artists, say,
Yep.
well, let's put everything we can into it.
Mhm.
The budget isn't there. Let's drive the producing people and the animators crazy. Well, let's jam this with, and the most intense 13 half hours we can do on kids TV. And if we have to leave it, have it go up in flames, and we have to leave it there, we at least will have these 13 and we'll have them forever.
Yeah.
And then it caught on, it was a hit, and suddenly, okay, now you're gonna have to, now you're gonna do
Now you gotta top
40 or
it.
50 or
Now you gotta do it
yeah,
again.
yeah. How do you do this?
Do it
More of
again.
this? And the nice thing was, as Mark Edens, my head writer, pointed out, he said, okay, you did all this detail work to set this world up. Now we can get more specific. Now we can spend a whole episode just with 2 or 3, like with Beast and Jubilee and Wolverine, and basically not see anybody else. Or
Storm when she returns to Africa.
Yeah,
Rogue.
Storm goes back. Well, Julia wrote Storm and Rogue go back to Africa, and it's all about Storm and her past. And you touch the other people for 30 seconds, but you just basically get a Storm episode. So you can do, there's room within these deep characters to have some really intense stories. Again, you don't have to use the stuff from the books. We often didn't.
Yeah.
Just run with Storm, or you have Wolverine out in the wilderness, leaving the X-Men again, and what does he find on the road? Spend a half hour with him, because now you've got everybody's trust. You can you don't have to hear you don't have to worry about, oh, but where are the other 7? Well, we know them now. We're their family now. You touch base with them gently and spend time with 1 or 2 people. And that's, I think, some of our best stories were
I definitely agree with that. Like, this probably lead to my question for everybody, because I want to ask what your guys' favorite part of season 1 was, because since you were talking about specific stories for people, like my favorite episode of the season, like granted there was some great like climaxes and everything, but my favorite episode of the season was episode 4, Jubilee's story, which was just so amazing. It was just like finally got to see some true side to Jubilee, get some real fun. Like it really hit me hard because like I am really into like the computer science and stuff and the video games and everything, and like really kind of touching on the aspect of AI with it as well. It's like it was just so great. So like I have that question for all 4 of you, but starting with Eric and Julia, like what was your favorite part of season 1?
But can I also jump in and just say how great that Allison Court got to come in on that episode? I mean, that was brilliant and wonderful.
It was amazing.
I mean, and Holly Chow, who's now doing the voice of Jubilee. It was just, oh my God, that was wonderful. Again, that shows you the fidelity, the care that's gone into this. Which,
I mean, it definitely was like, again, another passing of the torch, because I mean, like future Jubilee was able to teach like the 97 Jubilee, the current Jubilee, like this
there's
is what
more to your power.
This is what you can do.
This is what you can do.
You're
not just making colors and little explosions. You can use it.
Like this is who I am, but this is who you need to be. And like again, it's like a voice actor to voice actor, just constantly just going back and forth. Like this is you now. Like run with it, have fun, enjoy the moment, because it's amazing. It's amazing. Like the people love it.
Yeah, I think I can't keep from thinking of it like as a showrunner, trying to think about how how episodes 1 through 10 fit together. And often the 2 hardest things usually for a season are a pilot script, just to set everything up, because you have to got all this pipe to lay while you're trying to tell a good story. And that was good, but is the wrap up at the end of a season, can you stick the landing?
We have a dog in distress.
We have a dog.
Oh, you're fine.
So that I really respect at the end there, before they do the foreshadowing of season 2, the last couple scenes, they basically wrap up the first season of stories really nicely. And so I thought, well, they stuck the ending. They resolved
they nailed
the
it.
story arc nicely. And that was really satisfying for me, just from a craft point of view. I just couldn't get past how well they moved to that and ended with that. So that was a real highlight for me.
Nice.
And if you happen to watch the first episode, and the beautiful mirror with the Sunspot character coming in for Jubilee, in the opening, and he wakes up in what we realize is Beast's lab and looks around. Well, if you happen to look at the bookshelf, there's a book with J. Lewald there on the shelf, which they said was an Easter egg to me. And then an Easter egg to you was the appearance of Animal Farm by George Orwell, which we got a story.
If you want a really obscure personal story, why that book Animal Farm is in our original, when Beast is in jail and he's sitting there reading, and the guards comment on it, and why it's in the new one. It's because of me in 9th grade. I was in ninth grade, and it was at the end of gym class,
In
and we're
Tennessee.
in East Tennessee, and we're waiting to go to lunch. And the smartest guy in school, Charles Friedman, is sitting next to me, waiting to go to lunch, and he's reading Animal Farm. Ninth grader, he's reading Orwell. That's cool. And our coach came by and looked over and went, "Oh, look at old Friedman over there. He's reading a little kitty book about animals." Yeah. So I put Animal Farm in Beast's hands in like episode 3, and
Yep.
had the guard say, "Oh, look at that. I bet he's looking at the
Mhm.
pictures in that book." It's a strange callback to my ninth grade experience with the idiot coach not knowing what Animal Farm was.
Yeah, so there you go. There we are. You found it. Oh my God, that's
Yeah.
perfect. Yeah, so that's a real deep
That's
dive.
that's
Yeah.
meta
Deep one.
meta
That's pretty
meta.
Well,
good.
And then
They have
there's
both
the other
Animal Farm
cameo.
and Julia Lewald. Yeah.
Yep. And then there's also the other Easter egg when they're looking at the Magneto protocol, and
Yes.
the aliases are the actors
Yep,
who
Yeah.
have played Magneto.
David Hemblin and Ian McKellen and Michael Fassbender. But
Michael
Yep.
Fassbender. Yeah.
yeah,
they couldn't
but
put the full names just
Right.
because of contractual,
Yeah.
but
Mhm.
it's like we know this. I think
and
Yep,
for
go,
you
Julia.
as the Gambit fan, we shared with you probably about the mistake in
Yeah.
the opening title
Yep.
sequence.
Yeah.
with the other-
Yes.
It's still in there.
And I
It's still
can't
in
unsee
there.
it.
You
I
saw
can't
it. Okay,
unsee
good.
it.
It's still there.
It's
And
still
we
there.
shared that with the X-Men 97 team. And when Gambit's in the opening title sequence, it goes by faster, but it's there and it's upside
It's
down.
still
in the new
there.
one.
It's still
Yeah.
there.
Yes, yeah.
I even paused it.
I-
And I was like, babe, look at this, look at this. And then I was like,
Yep.
pause it. I was like, look at that. Like they told us. They told us.
So I think for me, my favorite, as much as the death of Gambit hurt, but just seeing him go out like that, it's one of my favorite scenes. But I think for me is Rogue's arc after that happens.
Yeah.
And then when she goes to the military base, lays waste to the military base and goes toe to toe with Cap. And she's like, "Oh, your hands are tied. You don't need this," and takes his shield and throws it off into the
Shucks.
mountains. Like that was one of my favorite moments. It's just like to see Rogue do this. And I think it harkens back to her comic book story origin where she's hanging out with Mystique and she kind of has that side to her where she
Yeah.
kind of held on to Ms. Marvel too long. That's how she got some of her powers. And it's like
Mhm.
to see that flash, it's like I was like, wow, we're actually seeing Rogue and what Rogue can actually do if she's not shackled,
Yeah.
you know?
Agreed. Yeah. And so
Um,
satisfying too. So satisfying. You know, yeah.
Not gonna lie, I would have dropped him off the building too. Like
And who
you
else
know?
was up there with her that yeah, come on.
Gene could have stopped it. Like
Oh yeah.
it's like Gene didn't do nothing. It's
No,
like
Nightcrawler could have
They're all just
stopped it.
sitting there's
They're
like
all just-
I would have done it too. It's like she
Yeah.
she just did it before me.
Yeah.
and to
Yeah.
have Wolverine be the one, like, come on, we all thought about
We all
it.
thought it.
So Jason, I'll let you.
You know, yeah, I mean, for sure. And I texted Matt, I texted Jerry, I texted Theo. The minute I heard that last line in episode 5, oh my God, I was dying. And I even texted him, I was like, oh my God, like how does an episode end like this? But no, I mean, honestly, amongst all of the first season right now, I think it is the separation, the first coming of the asteroid M, when Magneto goes off on his side.
Yep.
You choose your sides now. You know, I think that's the most powerful point when both Sunspot and Rogue go with him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
only
hard.
because like Rogue sees exactly what Magneto has been talking about this entire time, from
The beginning.
episodes 1 of Night of the Sentinels all the way to now. Like she now sees it, because of what had just happened.
Yeah.
You know, and like again, it's just so much in her eyes that it's like that's all she can see. And then to have Sunspot as well join, because he literally just got turned
Nope.
over by his own family,
His own parents, yeah.
his
Yeah.
own family, his own flesh and blood
Yep.
just
Yeah.
turned on him like that. I mean, I think that is the most powerful of the entire 10 episodes, because it's literally someone who's been there from day one and someone who
Yeah.
is beginning day one, seeing two different sides come together with one overall vision. I'm like, oh my God, like I'm getting goosebumps, because it's just that
Yep.
it's that powerful just to see, like,
And
all of them just float on by. And we always joke with Jubilee, like, oh, like everybody can fly, how come I can't fly?
yeah,
But it just, that moment is just so powerful, because that's the start of the asteroid M. That's the
Yeah.
start of, like,
everything. It's just
yeah, it's now like, hey, we've been doing this for so long. Now it's our turn to just say, hey, you know what? We're fed up with it. And that's
And I think
just,
that Scott,
oof.
when Scott finally echoed that too, when he's talking to the president and he's like, it just, yeah, you finally realize. And they even said it in the show. Like the one line is Magneto was right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like all along, like this whole
Yep.
time, we had to wait 30 years for
Yeah.
somebody to say Magneto was right about the whole
Yep.
situation. So,
Yep.
but yeah, so Eric and Julia, it's a pleasure having you guys back on.
Oh,
I didn't
oh,
realize,
thank
it's
you.
been that long. We got to
Oh.
get you guys back on, like 2002. We've been saying that a lot with a lot of our guests lately. It's just because life has been moving super fast. I mean,
Oh yeah.
like today, my kiddo graduated and he's moving on from first grade to second grade. Now I'm like, dude, I have a second grader. Like, where did this year go? And I was telling my wife, it's like, second grade is where I have, like, when you look back in the memory vault, right? Those are like the real core memories that are still there for me, is like right around second grade, and a
Oh,
lot happened in my life. And I'm like, wow, he's at that age now, and whatnot. But it is, it's always a pleasure to have you guys on.
oh.
We should have to go a year and a half and and whatnot, but NDAs, we
NDA.
can't
Yeah,
We
yeah.
get,
and
yeah.
whatnot.
Yeah.
And
I would more than love to have you guys, however long it takes, again after the
yes,
next season comes out.
Yes,
Like,
we got a date. We'll pencil it in.
yeah.
once
As soon as
the new season
episode
comes out.
the last episode of episode 2
Of-
of season 2 plays.
Yes,
We
Oh.
don't know the count.
we'll have
We
a
don't know when it's
we'll have a
gonna happen.
retrospect.
We don't know.
Absolutely.
There you go. That'd be-
But
You
once
know-
again, for the listeners though, if you guys, I highly recommend the art book.
Mhm.
That one right there. I need to get a copy of that because
yeah.
I saw Jerry's. I'll hook up with you, Julie, on
Yeah, please,
email about that. But I saw Jerry's and whatnot when that was actually, and saw it in person. I'm like, God, I have to have it. But go over to crashinggamenight.com, go check out their profile. The website link is right there, and you'll be able to go get in contact with them and get a signed copy of it. Or there's links on there where you can just go buy the book, and it links into where you can buy the book. So always a pleasure to have you guys on. For those listeners, thank you for crashing tonight. First time, drop us a follow. And we try and record weekly. Sometimes the dates change. With you guys, your schedules, tonight was the only one that really worked, and so we made the change. So but with everything, kind of like with X-Men 97 kind of touched on, we've got a lot going on in the world now too that are along similar lines as what we've all experienced in the 90s. Please, guys, just be excellent to each other.
That's right, all my nerds out there. If you're first time listening, this is Jerry's voice. Just want to be
start talking slower now.
Oh
Than
my
last
because Jerry
impression.
does talk a little bit slower. He has a little bit.
Jesus.
Okay.
if
Anyways,
you
guys,
say so.
be safe out there as always. As we always like to say, just take care of one another. Take care of the ones close to you. Eric, Joy. Oh my God, you are always welcome. Always, anytime on this couch. But if not, please, please, please. The day after season 2 finishes, I'll be more than happy.
We'll be talking.
We'll be talking.
Yeah,
We don't even have to record. We just want to talk.
We just want to talk.
Yes.
We just want to talk.
That's
Like, oh my
great.
God, oh my God, oh my God.
Yep.
I'm just kidding. But anyways, guys, honestly, just thank you so much for being here. Thank you again for you know, the whole season of 97. And again, all of our childhoods, Matt's, mine's, Jerry's, Theo's, you know, it's just
Yep.
it feels so good, feels nostalgic, feels great to
It
have
feels
that,
right.
especially with a lot of climate that's been going on out there in the world. You know, it's just amazing that we're able to just come back again Wednesday nights and just, you know, like that is the night. So thank you so much again for being on with us again, and all your stories, all of your little things. We love it. We love it so much. But as we close it out, you know how this goes. My man Theo Walski, send us out like you do.
I'm sorry, Jason. I gotta put it out there. That was not one of your best.
It's okay. No,
That
see,
was
like it's
not
fine.
one
It's
of your
fine.
best. I'm sorry.
Oh,
I know
It's
you can't
okay.
be perfect all the
Hey,
time, but
Hey, it's a
that
Thursday,
would
man.
hurt
It's
me a little
Thursday.
bit. It's just like,
It's a Thursday. It's
Tuesdays,
we'll blame it.
Taco Tuesdays, you know, it's try again Thursday. So it's okay, bro. It's okay. Like,
That's all right. I'll forgive you for next
yeah,
week.
yeah.
But I put a challenge to you, Matt, Jerry, and any of our listeners out there that we need to collectively work together and find Easter eggs in season 2 before Julia can point them out to us, because she always
the
beats
next
us
time.
on these Easter eggs and she has to tell us where they are.
Okay, you know what? Challenge. Everyone go back to season 1 and look, because there are
there's a ton.
dozens.
There's a
There's
ton.
Dozens. No.
We
Oh,
can't,
Let us
we
know.
we
Let
can't,
us know.
we can't count them.
No.
There are too many.
Mm,
There it is. Challenge. The gauntlet has been thrown down. But to
Yep.
all our listeners, to all our watchers, thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. Till next time, TTFN. Ta-ta for now.
Good night, everybody.
Good night.